We're down at the 7th Hotel. I'm with Simon Osborne, who I've talked to in the past. Good governance, I know, is sort of the general thing, but this gets title of this conference today, Securing the Future, the Isle of Man conference for the year. ICSA, just explain who ICSA is.
ICSA is the Governance Institute. We represent and qualify governance, risk and compliance professionals. That's it in a nutshell.
All right.
Yeah.
And how is the state of the Isle of Man for you?
It's a vital branch. It's a really important, it's a thriving branch, a very important market for us. The Isle of Man, in common with the other Crown dependencies, is the source of a lot of inward funds into the UK. A lot of jobs in the UK depend on it. Our members, I think, perform a vital role in upholding the good reputation that the Isle of Man has as a safe place in which to do business.
Well, I'm obviously going to go to Brexit. You must be hearing that all the time. I mean, There's uncertainty, isn't there, about the future of things? And
yes, I think there is. There's clearly concern about the number of jobs that might possibly be lost into continental Europe. For now, though, it has to be business as usual. And I think the role that the Isle of Man plays, along with the other Crown dependencies, as a source of good funding into the UK and the jobs that depend on that, absolutely critical. And that's why for us it's so important to give all the support we can to our members here, working in corporate as corporate service providers, trust service providers, helping them to set high standards, deliver high quality governance, and thereby enhance the reputation of their employers and of the island generally.
Okay, well, next to Brexit, we have a general election in the UK, which normally puts uncertainty around, but this looks like a different sort of event. Is that good news for you and your members and people doing business?
Well, I don't particularly want to get drawn on that because we're an apolitical organisation, but
you know how different governments have different effects, though, don't you?
They do. I mean, one of the discussions, the keynote address we had this morning was about the future of corporate governance, and some of the aspirations which policymakers have for corporate governance. It's now reached the point where, for example, the OECD, in discussing in its guidelines, I think in 2015, discussing what the purpose of corporate governance is. One of its objectives should be the creation of more inclusive societies. Now, can the listed sector be tasked with that level of implementation of government policy and government aspiration? Discuss.
Oh, yeah. Well, and you probably are today. I mean, obviously you've got keynote speakers, but you've got people around the table. It's part of it.
Oh, yes.
Networking, as they say.
Absolutely. But that, the Green Paper published in the UK by the Business Department in November last year. All the responses are in. That is on ice, obviously, pending the identity of the new Secretary of State for Business and what the agenda the government has after the outcome of the general election is known.
So what's the mood music here? Good?
Yes, it is. It's always noticed the Isle of Man is one of our quieter audiences, but the interest is there, and I think that may be a reflection of the island's culture. So it's not a criticism. It's a quieter audience. But we've had some good discussions about the future for governance. Can we just have more of the same, or do we need a more intensive, in-depth look at whether the whole structure of corporate governance is right? Is it just tinkering with what we've got, adding more reporting? Is that the answer? I think not. Let's wait and see what comes out of that. We've had discussion on minute taking. Might sound very boring, really something for anoraks. But what directors often forget, unfortunately, is they're responsible for the minutes. They're the ones who approve the minutes. So we had a very interesting discussion on minute taking and some of the tricks of the trade, some of the nuances, some helpful tips there. We've had an interesting discussion on leadership from Dennis Tourish from Sussex University, and then we had a discussion about risk just before lunch.
Is the Isle of Man government doing its part for you? Do you feel that you have that short connection way that you can get to ministers over here and make sure things are as you want them, or perceived for business purposes anyway?
I think so here. Yes, I think it's easy. We've got members who work in the civil service, in policy roles. accessibility to ministers. That's the beauty of a small island regime like the Isle of Man. People are genuinely accessible.
Oh, good. It all sounds pretty chipper. We'll see you next time round and see how we're getting on.
Thank you. Enjoyed my trip, and I will be back.